From the heart of the Coachella Valley, this is the Palm Springs Real Estate Buzz on KGX with your host, John Sloan from the John Sloan Real Estate Group in La Quinta.
First guest is Pantea Ilbeigi Did I get that right?
You did.
Okay.
Thank you.
She is an attorney, and you are the proprietor of this law firm called Palm Desert Law Group, correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. I met Pantea at the Palm Desert Area Chamber of Commerce, and she's relatively new to the marketplace and relatively new as far as her practice goes. And I was really excited to hear a young person like yourself in this business assisting people in the way that you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice.
Sure, I'd love to. Well, I moved out here about 2 years ago to the desert from Big Bear, specifically because I wanted to open a law practice that would cater to the needs of families. I've always enjoyed estate planning. I've been doing that for about 8 years now.
Okay.
But I found that the way that most estate planning lawyers handle the process left a lot of confusion for their clients and often overlooked very important pieces of the puzzle. Both businesses and family businesses as well as minor children. So while people thought they were doing right by their families, when they had poor planning, it often left huge messes for their families.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to change that.
And so you've built your business with that aspect of it. And what other areas do you work in?
So I mostly do estate planning. I do business law as well. However, I'm shifting and I'm going to be focusing exclusively on estate planning.
Okay.
And that's for business owners, for families with young children, for single people. It covers the whole gamut.
So when you talk about estate planning, I'm sure that includes making sure that, can you put a business in a trust?
So you can't put a business in a trust, but you can put your interests that you own in a business into the trust.
Very interesting.
So if you have a corporation, you can make the shares in the name of the trust. If you have an LLC, your membership interest, you can put that in the trust.
So tell me what you typically run into that creates problems for the businesses and for individuals.
Well, to do that, I need to back up a little and just kind of talk about what estate planning is in general, because it's this term that most people don't really know. So, and the best way to talk about that is to talk about what happens if you don't have estate planning in place.
Okay.
If you don't have anything in place, if you don't have a will, you don't have anything, the state has a plan for you, and that's called probate. So when you enter into the probate, it's a public process. It's very time consuming.
Yeah.
It takes 12 to 18 months on average here in California.
I've seen that.
It's very costly, and most of those fees are set by statute, by law.
Right.
And it's incredibly public, which subjects your potential heirs to different creditors and predators out there who want to pounce. Plus, if you leave something to, let's say, a minor child, they get that outright when they turn 18.
Got it.
And probate is just a fancy legal term for how we can transfer your assets legally to someone else. Right. When you're alive, you sign your name. But when you're dead, you can't sign your name anymore.
Exactly.
So, the best way to avoid probate is by setting up a trust. So a lot of people have heard of trust. It's technically a legal agreement, but I like to talk about it in terms of a safety deposit box that you get at a bank. Mm-hmm. You set it up, but then you have to actually put things into it. And that's where the problems come, because most people don't put all of their assets into it. So as a realtor, it's incredibly important for people when they buy houses to put the house in the name of their trust.
I just ran into that. A guy passed away. He had a trust. He didn't put his property in the trust. And then we ended up finding out that he had 2 loans on the property, and the value of the property was less than what he had owed on it.
Yeah.
And so it ends up going to probate, obviously. But
exactly.
You understand what you're saying. People don't understand the true importance of making sure that your assets are put in the trust. What kind of costs are associated with putting a trust together? Just, some basic stuff.
Well, the costs are way less than what would happen if you didn't have a plan in place. If you have a property that's valued at $1 million, the fees alone to go through the probate for that are easily over $50,000.
Yeah, I ran into one in Palm Springs where the value was $400,000, and I think it cost the state about 35 or 40 grand for, and I know that a trust doesn't cost that much to put together.
So the costs for estate planning typically range. We at the Palm Desert Law Group, we have 3 different packages. One is a will-based plan, one is a trust plan, and one is a trust-based plan where we help with the funding to make sure everything's actually transferred properly. And those typically range at my office from about $2,000 to $6,000.
Okay.
But the best part is when you work with us, you have the opportunity to pick your fee and pick the plan that's best for you and your family.
Good. Super. Well, that's a lot of great, interesting information. Now, what other interesting things can you tell us today?
Well, something that's unique that I offer that a lot of other people don't is what I call a kids protection plan.
Okay.
So a lot of what most people don't realize is that there are 2 time frames when we need to think about when we consider what would happen to our children if something happened to us. There's the short term and there's the long term. A lot of times lawyers will kind of mention in the estate plan, who should take care of the kids if something happens. Right. That's on the long-term end, and usually that's not clearly laid out. But something you also need to think about is what's going to happen on the short term. Like, what would happen, practically speaking, if you didn't make it home to your kids that night? Are there people who have legal authority to watch over your kids?
Yeah.
If not, when the police get involved, they're going to have to take your kids out of whatever situation they're in and call CPS, even if it's temporary. And that's the type of thing that can be completely avoided when you have a kids protection plan in place.
And there's a lot of kids in this valley, aren't there?
There are.
Wow, that is a great mission for you and your law group.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Folks, we are talking with Pantea Ilbeigi Fuzuni. She is the owner. She is also an attorney with the Palm Desert Law Group, and I want to thank you for coming in this beautiful Saturday morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
You're listening to the Palm Springs Real Estate Buzz on KGX with John Sloan of the John Sloan Real Estate Group at Keller Williams Realty, serving Palm Springs, Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, Indian Wells, La Quinta, Indio, Coachella, Desert Hot Springs, and any of your real estate needs around the world.